welcome to episode whatever number this is of the Let's Talk Game podcast.
13.
Lucky number 13, the week that 13 Reasons Why is back. All the 13s.
Oh my god. It is.
My name's Jamie, I'm hosting this week. To the far left over there is Daniel, and in the centre you've got Uncle Chunt. How are we doing, guys?
Hey.
We good?
Morning.
Fab. Totes fab.
So, all the 13s. Chunt, have you started 13 Reasons yet?
Yes, I'm 3 episodes in.
Right, I've just watched the first one, so we won't do any talking about that. I just wanted to see if you'd actually started your way through this season.
I still haven't heard one reason why it's good.
Oh,
missing out, sunshine.
that's clever, isn't it?
Out.
Yes.
It's very
It's a very
apt
good
and
show.
timely storytelling, Dan. You should get yourself involved. So yeah, this week, slow week for news and stuff, really. So a bit of a more casual episode for us, I think. A bit more conversational. So main topic for this week is around virtual reality and kind of the Oculus Quest hit its 1 year anniversary. Kind of what the opinion of obviously us as general consumers are. You know, if we think that's changed in the market and what it'd take maybe for you guys to jump in, be invested in something like standalone VR. And then a few news topics that we've got. We have got Power Rangers has gone cross-gen completely.
Yeah.
The first game, Battle for the Grid. We've got some plagiarizing of some music going on in that Uncharted 2. Jesus Christ. Not Uncharted 2.
What year are we in?
The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, that's we've gone back in time.
It's all the same, isn't it?
Yep.
Sega had a massive announcement. I think we started talking about that at the end of last week's episode, and it turned out to be absolutely huge. I mean, phenomenal, like really, really huge.
It's game changing.
As Donald Flump would tell us. And Sony's event got cancelled. So when's that going to retake place? See if we've got some thoughts on when they might move that to, because at the minute they're saying, we don't know. So without further ado, topic number 1 for every week, as always, what have we been playing? And Dan, as normal, you're the furthest away from me, so you can start.
So I've been in a bit of a funk with games lately. Like last week, as we said, barely played anything. Played a little bit 2K last week. So this week I was because right now I'm just waiting for The Last of Us Part 2. That's all I'm ready to play. I've been watching the weekly videos PlayStation is putting out regarding Last of Us Part 2, and I'm like, what am I going to play? I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll just play Last of Us. So I just started playing Last of Us. Just to have a nice little refresher. I think this time I'm playing it on hard. I think every time I've played it, which might be I've watched the clips of that game over 10 times, but I think I've played the game 3 times before. But this is the first time I'm just playing it on hard. So I'm getting through it a bit slower than the last few. I'm actually I'm taking my time in certain parts. But man, that game's good. I really like that game. I'm getting towards a couple of moments where I know it makes me tear up. So not look forward to that. But it's just good game. But that's it, because that's the only game I've played, because I've just been building myself to Last of Us Part 2.
Nice.
And Chunt?
Yeah, look, it's funny you say that Last of Us thing. Like every time a new Gears game comes out, I always play through the others first on the lead up to the release, because it's and it comes out every 2 or 3 years or whatever. So it's like, just give myself an excuse to play the story again and get all refreshed and in the Gears mindset, and so I can understand that. But for me, what I've been playing this week is just surprise, surprise, Animal Crossing. I finally got my basement, and now I owe like 2.45 million bells or something to Tom Nook. And even he's like, yeah, we're done now. I've got no more upgrades for you. Just pay me back. I'm like, yeah, all right. I'll see you in a few months, maybe. But I've been converting it into like a little chunk cave. It's got my Super Samurai suit in there, and I've got some Super Sentai costumes all hung up on the wall like a superhero lair. They have their suits up and stuff. I'm getting it all geared up, and my gym is expanding, and I'm just living strongly vicariously through this thing. And my cat girlfriend is talking to me again, leaving me notes in my mailbox. that's good. And I've got a new person moving onto my island, so things are progressing there. Otherwise, I started Life is Strange. Did the first episode last night, and before I jumped into 13 Reasons Why. So I didn't realize. I just happened to start this game. I was like, all right, I'll just smash this out. And that's why I chatted to you guys. I'm like, oh god, I just started Life is Strange and 13 Reasons Why season 3 or whatever it is, season 4. Just came up on Netflix. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? So yeah, I didn't realize episode 1 was relatively short the way I played it, or at least I don't know if that's normal, but I think I finished it in like an hour, and I was like, all right, I'll just stop there and go into 13 Reasons Why. So I don't know, how long's the rest of the game? Is there 2 or 3 episodes, or
no? There's 5.
Oh, 5 episodes. Okay. I
And
could
I'd
knock
say-
one out of 9 next week.
10 hours would be the most, all up.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. So I've
depending
got
on
to
if you're
complete it.
playing through it just to go, I want to get from A to B and hit the story beats. There's not very much you can do in terms of going off the beaten path. So yeah, as Dan said, 10-ish hours to get through the whole thing.
I have been going around looking at everything. Just for context, like there's all these posters and notes and shit and people's rooms that you can go in, and I've been looking at things.
Yeah, it's a lot of that.
Like Chloe's room. I didn't realize, when her dad pops up in there and starts going sick on him, because I mean, obviously you guys have played it. This is where I was getting confused, where they're smoking and her dad comes in, or stepdad comes in, and you got to look around for a place to hide. And the closet, you open that, everything falls out of the closet, so you can't get in there, and you can't get under the bed. And I couldn't find anywhere else to hide. And then he busts in, and I was like, all right, let me rewind again. And I couldn't find a place to hide, so I was like, all right, maybe this is how it is. But then at the end of it, where it gives you the results, it has all these other options that you could have done. I was like, oh, none of that appeared for me as an option. I couldn't find a place to hide or anything like that. So I didn't realize how expansive as far as the options were on this game is. So that was pretty chuffed about that. I didn't realize how big it was, but I'm enjoying it. It's a bit slow at the moment, but at the end of this episode, I was like, right, I'm convinced enough where I want to continue playing. So
yeah, it livens up into episode 2 and 3. I think the 2 massive standouts. 2's fairly long from memory. I think 2's maybe the longest. You'll need a couple of hours to get through episode 2. That's the part where everything kind of takes the shape of it and what it's trying to do. So yeah, that's pretty.
You'll be feeling like an angsty teenage girl in no time.
Ah, yes. Can't wait.
Back to you, Jamie.
Yeah,
sorry,
not very much, to be honest. I can't really comment too much on what I've played this week because it's not a lot. Was it this week I sent you guys the thing saying that I'd played I'd got that stupid shotgun in Destiny that I had no intention of getting? I think that was maybe this week.
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
that happened.
You got it anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't you play Star Citizen as well?
Was that this week as well? It's been quite a long week, hasn't it? I did. Yeah, that was eye-opening. I didn't know an awful lot about it going in. I know it's obviously it's the largest crowdfunded game in history, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of tickled a couple of itches where I wanted that exploration kind of piece to, get under the skin and go, I want to see more. I need to go see what all this different stuff is. But trying to get off planet was annoying enough. Now, for context, they had a free play weekend. I've not been one of these stupid people that went and bought a $900 ship or whatever the hell they charge in this game, because apparently it's absolutely outrageous. Like the price of admission if you want some decent stuff is nuts. So yeah, got to fly around a couple of planets. One that I started on was incredibly cyberpunk. I mean, I sent you guys the screenshots of that, and you could be forgiven for going very cyberpunk. I like to play games like that with a controller as well, and the controller mapping for the game is awful. It's really not very good. the way that you interact with objects and have to even, so you walk up to a door and you have to hit an action button, and it's like that action button is like weirdly like X, but you have to push Y to focus your cursor and then push X. It's like it's very PC controller heavy, which is not good. I don't know if there's any intention of this game ever coming to consoles, to be perfectly honest. Not something that I'm that into.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was nice to play around with, but it's not something that I've gone, wow, that convinced me. That free play weekend made me want to, no life the hell out of this. So it didn't do that. But yeah, that would have been the other thing this week. But it has been quite a long week. So yeah, those two games. Haven't managed to get back to my own Animal Crossing Island, Chunt. You'll be pleased to not know. So I don't know what my villagers are thinking. I logged in a couple of weeks ago and they were like, "Oh, we thought you'd left." And I was like, I did. You're all annoying me. And
I've logged in every day since I bought it. Every day.
It's that turnip thing. Do you know what I mean? The whole like losing those turnips.
I haven't bothered with turnips, man. I tried it once. I bought a bunch of turnips once, sold them for barely a profit. And I was like, no, I can't be bothered. And I'm not going to go chasing down people on the internet to go to their islands either. So I'll just do it the hard way, which is fine. Like I've maxed out my house now, so doing something right.
Yeah. I can't say I don't think I'll be able to get back to that kind of hardcore level. Like I said, when I actually log in and do get a couple of hours with it, I tend to time skip and do the next bits that I need to do and progress that way, so I can play it more at my leisure rather than making it a daily commitment. But yeah, it's been a few weeks since I've managed to put any time into that. But nothing else really to talk about playing. So topic-wise, I think it makes most sense to just cover off a couple of these news beats from the week. So Sean, I'll let you start us with this huge Sega announcement that was coming, because I know you were getting quite excited for it, and it was going to be mammoth and like absolutely enormous, and then it just wound up being so huge that we couldn't contain our excitement.
Yeah, I mean, who's Xbox and who's PlayStation? I mean, this is game changing. You got one of the biggest grandfather consoles entering the market again, and no, it's all bullshit. The rumors that were going around before this release or announcement was potentially Xbox or Microsoft purchasing Sega, and another rumor was that Sega were going to release a Sega branded Xbox Series X in Japan as a partnership. That was also false. So everybody was like, what could this be? Is it their own console, and they just partner with Microsoft for parts, or a way to get through? And everybody's like, there's no way Sega has that kind of money to fund their own console again. Like, they've been a publisher of games for the last couple of decades, and nothing's really sold enough to generate that kind of revenue. Anyway, so then people were talking about, well, they did the Sega Mini, the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis Mini, and that was relatively successful. Maybe they'll just put out a Dreamcast, because that's one of the other most popular consoles in history. The Sega Dreamcast got a massive fan base and cult following, and so that was becoming the more convincing conversation online. And I was like, yeah, I'd be down for that. Like, I wouldn't mind picking that up. And then when they announced it, it was a device that never really set the world on fire, and doesn't really have many memorable games of note, and it's like a third of the size of the original thing. And it's the Sega Game Gear, which is like, it's usually about this big, but this one, it's like this big, and I don't know who this is for. It's like the joke going around is like, what's this game console? Is this a game console for ants? Like that Zoolander reference. And it's true, because the screen itself is so small, where I don't know how you can play it. Who's like, is this for toddlers or kids, or the people that grew up with this console are older now and bigger, and they're going to be like doing this with it? I just scoffed at it. And yeah, exactly right. And there's 4 different colors. Each one only has 4 games on it, so you got to buy all 4 of them to get all the games that they're releasing for it, which is just dumb. I don't know why they did that. Why didn't they just pool their resources and making it a bit more larger to hold, consumer friendly, and just put all the games on that? one device. I don't know. It's just dumb. But apparently it's selling out like crazy already in Japan. And the enthusiasts that still exist for the Sega Game Gear are all excited, but there was a resounding face palm all around Twitter about it. Rightly so, because the editorials that were coming out and the hype that was coming out with some outlets saying, this is going to rile up the industry like a PS5 announcement level, it's going to change the game and all this kind of stuff. But that was part of the announcement. The second announcement was the Sega HQ in Japan, where they have a big arcade lot building. Like arcade machines and stuff are still pretty hype over there in Japan. So they're going to be using my understanding of it is they're going to be using their HQ, Sega HQ, or all their arcade machines are all hooked up. They're going to be utilizing some PC architecture across all of their arcades, something as like a cloud gaming service, like a pseudo kind of cloud system with all their arcades hooked up in this HQ, something like that. And I was like, oh, this is even worse. Like, nobody wants this. It's just, I don't understand how the messaging on this got so wrong. Or maybe that was a joke. I don't know. But yeah, so that was the and now nobody's talking about it. It was like, oh, this is happening, lol, whatever. Okay, move on. So that's where we're at. That's the brief run over of it all. That's my thoughts.
Who made that statement? Who actually put out there this is going to be like PS5 level of hype?
Oh, it was some I think it was like Mitsu. So it was an interview that was done over there, and it could have been a translation issue as well when it came over here, but the interview came out and everybody was kind of making sense of it, trying to make sense of it. But I mean, we're at a stage now that I think it's a bit difficult to fuck up that translation. Like, we're in 2020. It's not like Japanese language it's only just appeared. We know how to translate stuff, and I don't understand how this got out. Like, the people that were talking about it, who are leaking this kind of hype, who are talking it up, I'm surprised that Sega or someone in Sega PR didn't reach out and was like, "Oi, shut up!" Like, you're setting the expectations too high. Mm-hmm.
Did you own a Game Gear? Did you ever have one?
I played one. Someone only owned it back in the day. I didn't really care much for it. It's not really well loved, and it wasn't even back then either. Like, this was around the era of the Lynx, the Atari Lynx and the Game Gear, and they're just like draining batteries. As soon as you put them in, the batteries may as well have been dead, because it just required so much battery power. So, and they were expensive. So only rich kids had them. And so, I just knew a kid at school who had one, and I tried it out, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Nah, I'm good. And yeah, I really don't know any people that think favorably of the Game Gear, but
have you any history with it, Dan? Any history with the Game Gear?
Nah, Sega's a real dark spot in my history.
Too young.
This looks like a really nice nice paperweight to hold down my stuff at work. It can
you can get 4 colors
to look at. Yeah, 4 colors. I can decorate. Well, I've got nothing much to say about this stuff, really. The only thing, I didn't actually realize that because I had heard about the Raul, the video game industry quote, jump about, but I just assumed, because I began so sick of like, oh, we're hearing this about the Xbox and we're hearing this about the PlayStation, and then you go into it and it's like, oh, it's on 4chan, or oh, it's on Reddit, or blah, blah, blah. So I just stopped listening to anything that had that as a source, because I was like, I'm just going to wait until, I hear from journalists who spoke to so-called developers, blah, blah, blah. So when I saw that, I went, oh, that's just probably a Reddit thing or whatever. I didn't actually realize it was a quote from someone at Sega. But yeah, this went in went through, the old expression, going through one ear out the other. I just glimpsed past this one day and kept going. There's nothing interesting
There's
to
not much
me,
redeeming
especially when I
about
saw
it
the
either.
trailer.
Like, there's nothing there. You can't even put up a mini HDMI cable or something on it to hook up to your TV. It's like you either play with your little finger or just not at all.
It's basically a Tamagotchi by this point.
Yeah, and the screen is so small. It's half the size or something of the original Game Gear, and even that was.
Do we know the cost? Do we know the cost of this thing?
No, I don't. I didn't bother. I was like, this is a joke. No one's going to buy this shit, but apparently people are selling out. So
maybe it's just lost on us.
Like buy one just to give to like my nephew or something when he's like 5 or something, so he can have his little game thing to run around with. But I'm also not that attached to Sega, so I probably won't.
Yeah,
you're better off buying a Vita, a second-hand Vita, and using that.
True.
I have been considering that sidebar. I missed the Vita quite a bit, and remote play would be useful for in bed on stuff. Getting those last couple of districts cleared in Spider-Man that I cannot be fucking asked to do to get that platinum trophy. Massive side tangent that, but yeah, the Game Gear thing. I remember playing one, but I don't remember if we had it or not. I remember playing it in a hospital. I don't know why I was in the hospital, but I was in the hospital, and it's that whole thing like waiting for ages in a hospital. And my dad gave me a Game Gear to play. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if I ever saw it again after that. But I remember playing the Sonic game on it.
Yep.
And that's literally my only memory of it. And yeah, much like you guys, not much interest in this. When you were telling us that there was something massive coming out from Sega, we were like hypothesizing that if Microsoft bought them, like the logical thing to happen.
Yep.
I mean, your rumor about the whole are they going to have an Xbox branded Sega console a Sega branded Xbox console in Japan to try and help them out there? I was like, that's actually a pretty ingenious idea. See if they go it.
Yeah.
But nah, it's a mini Game Gear. So we'll leave that one well alone for now. Next topic for the week is The Last of Us Part 2, not Uncharted 2, as I originally said. They all look alike. The Last of Us Part 2 has been getting a bit of
they look good. That's what it is.
It's been getting a bit of a stabbing over the last sort of 24, 48 hours. I saw this story this morning. I don't know if you guys have read or heard anything about it. Dan, you're probably the likely person to go to here with this if you've seen about it. The song that's played by Ellie is allegedly being ripped off, and the artist's not being given credit, and they made changes to this track, and they just want some recognition, and they're firing shots at Naughty Dog and at PlayStation and trying to get a bit of a response. Have you seen anything about it?
Yeah, so these stories are always weird to me. Like, I honestly don't know where I really fall down on it, because what has happened is in the new trailer, there was like a 1:20 trailer that came out recently, which is just like going to be an advert, I assume, just in front of things on TV and whatnot. And in it, Ellie is playing the main protagonist of the game. She's playing a guitar and singing a song. And while she's singing this song, and I'm trying to find her name. Lotz Kestner. He said, Naughty Dog, hey, are you aware that the Truth Faith cover you put in your Last of Us 2 trailer is a replica of my cover that came out 10 years ago? I wrote original parts, not in the original song, that are copied exactly by whoever covered it. I am heartbroken. So I'm reading this off IGN, and basically what they say is that she is covering another song, and in her cover, there is a part where she starts to do some humming of the vocals, which isn't in the original song. And then in the trailer, it gets to a point during the trailer where Ellie starts humming part of the song. And this is apparently the part that she was talking about. So it's about 3 seconds of humming. In this scenario, I honestly don't know where I fall down, because it's a cover of an original song, and it's 3 seconds. This might not mean a lot to a lot of UK viewers, but Chunt, do you remember when was it Men at Work got sued for the Waltz in Matilda thing? And you're like, oh really? Like,
come on, it may as well be the Australian anthem at this point.
So then so this is kind of the same thing where I'm like, so like 3 seconds, like I don't know where the law comes down on this stuff, because obviously they're doing a cover of a cover, and so like, who do royalties get paid to? Do they mostly go to the original song's owner, but because she hummed those lyrics, do they go to her? I will say this though, there has been other transgressions in the past from Naughty Dog, where I think in Uncharted 4 there was a painting in Nathan Drake's living room, which was a scene from Assassin's Creed, which was apparently put there as like a placement, just an in-placement thing, which normally happens when they want to go replace it later, and then obviously someone just forgot, and they're like, that's from Assassin's Creed. And then they're like, shit. So they went and changed it for the actual game. And then there was one other one, which I can't think of now, but like, it's happened in the past couple of times with Naughty Dog games with this stuff. Never like in a public commercial, where I feel like your lawyers and stuff would have been all over the whole music cover stuff. So unless they thought they could get away with it, I don't know. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
I mean, thinking about the Uncharted thing there, why wouldn't you just said, yeah, Nathan Drake plays Assassin's Creed? He really likes Assassin's Creed.
And he framed a photo.
He just wanted to frame a photo of his favourite island from Assassin's Creed. No,
no, dog.
My side of this thing, you know, I have issues with it, you know, daily work-wise, where, you know, paying royalties to different productions that we work with. And, you know, if something's going to be public-facing, you simply can't get away with it. Do you know what I mean? If it's publicly facing, if there's a link to it, if the greater populace can see it, you're up shit creek. So I see them having to make some kind of amends with this person, even though I get your point to the fact of, you know, it's a cover of a cover. Where does creative freedom and like the artist's, you know, work lie? Where does it stop? Where does it change? Where does it become somebody else's body of work? But if it's a case of, look, this is a cover of a previous song that is then ad-libbed and added to and changed up somewhat, that person does then become kind of a subsidiary of the original track holder. Do you know what I mean? So I can see them having to swallow a bit of pride here if that is the case. But like you said, they've got form for it. It's really shady. I know that obviously we can all attest to the fact we know Naughty Dog make great video games, right? They make good video games. We all know that. But goddamn, do they do some stupid shit? Like, they really do some dumb stuff. Like, it's completely nonsensical. I mean, Chunt, have you got any kind of closing thoughts on this?
I have a question about the length of it. So it's like 3 seconds, right? You said?
I wasn't aware it was that short, to be honest, but I trust Dan's reading on this because I've not looked into it.
So I'm just reading it off IGN here. So 3 minutes and 30 seconds into Kestner's version, there are humming vocals that fit the slower acoustic stylings of the cover. A similar vocal segment is sung by Ali in the trailer at the 45-second mark. Importantly, the original New Order track, a piece of synth music, does not feature these humming-like vocals. This is the difference that led Kestner to believe that the trailer has copied her version of the song.
But what if, just before you go on your tangent, Chunt, what if that synth part of the original track, if any of us were to listen to it and then try and hum it, it sounds like that? Do you know what I mean? So there's a synth part that's played by a synthesizer, but if you were to sit and try and replicate that sound with your mouth as a hum, it would sound the same. I don't know enough. I'm just purely like throwing like devil's advocate shit in because I don't know enough about it. So sorry, Chunt, to cut you off, but you know.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Brain
my issue with is music as a whole is it's that whole argument of you look at a lot of the most popular songs in recent memory, they all use the same 3 chord progressions constantly. Like most of the stuff that's in the top 40, a lot of jazz stuff uses the same bass lines and somehow get away with it. So I'm always asking when a new song comes out, I'm like, well, that chorus has the same 3 chords and it's in the same progression. How are they getting away with that? All right, whatever. Even like bands that I know of, or bands that I follow, where some of their portions of their songs are like, oh yeah, that's reminiscent of, or I heard something of from somewhere else. But at what point is it what's original anymore? Because there's been so much of music, there's only so many chords that you can put together in so many combinations, and at what point do you go, all right, there's a lot of inspiration happening? People write songs because they were moved, or they were triggered by a particular song or music track that they heard somewhere, and they go, oh, I'd like to write a song like that one day. And then maybe down the line they wrote a song unknowing that they are writing it similar to another song that they heard somewhere. Like, you just don't know. And if it's like 3 seconds, it's like, come on, it's not like it's a full chorus where it's like beat for beat, note for note, you know, in the same progression. Like, if that was the thing, if it's like a whole portion of the song that's ripped, that would be different. Which is like that Men at Work thing where there was like the Waltzing Matilda or whatever it was, mixed in between with the flute passage on that Men at Work song of the Land Down Under, where you can see the difference and similarities between there, and you go, all right, okay, you know, it's kind of obvious because it's a full bar's worth of a song, not like 3 hums or like or whatever. I don't know. It's a hard one to make, and it happens in art everywhere. Like we talked about it a few podcasts ago with Sony, doing some press events where there was an animation sequence that was commissioned for some indie showcase or whatever, and this portion of the trailer showcase was a direct rip off of some other person, some other artist, like frame by frame animation, like hand drawn stuff, and they played it side by side. Like someone found it, and they played them both side by side, and it's like legit, like the same frame by frame, scene by scene, and so it happens all over the place. And big companies, little companies do it all the time. But I just have to question the length of it, and I think even with YouTube, you can do like a fair use kind of thing. It's like 10% or 5% or 10% of the original source that you can use, which is fair use. But this is completely different if they're trying to pass it off as an original piece. But I don't know. That's a real tricky one. Like, I'm no expert, but I just have to say, like, to finally just shut up about it, is if it was, just humming a song for 3 seconds, and if that is the only similarity on top of a completely different guitar piece or something, I would say, come on, like, really? You're the person that recognized it because you have a song similar to, and who else picked up on it? Like, it's like if I wrote a song and was playing a game, I'm like, hey, that sounds like my song, but no one else in the world picked up on it. I don't know. It's unfair. Like, if it was, if whoever was the composer of that scene, or whoever wrote that scene out, was like, I really like this song from this artist, I'm gonna just try and put that in there as my own thing, then that's where it gets a bit shady. But who knows? It's a real sticky and tricky one. Obviously, I'm not in law and all that kind of shit, so I don't know. But I'd have to know more about it as far as the context, and see the scene for myself and hear the song for myself. And I don't know. People just need to calm the fuck down. It's not as bad as that, or as egregious as that Ubisoft one, where it was legit artwork from another game that you can see on display.
Yeah,
and I think we have to take into consideration that, being that this is a game that's in a post-apocalyptic she's obviously playing an acoustic guitar because most likely you're not going to have a synthesizer in the post-apocalypse.
Nah, bullshit. She's got one stashed under her bed for sure. I guarantee it. She's playing some nice 80s synthwave during her downtime when she's not fearing for her life. As you can tell, slow news week because we managed to just discuss 3 seconds of some plagiarized work for about 12 minutes.
Yep.
We'll stick with Sony then for now, actually, while we're doing a bit of not bagging but creative criticism. They cancelled their event this week due to current goings on in the world, and I don't think we really want to touch or say too much on that. We're here to talk with each other as friends and about video games, but I think I probably speak for all of us when not one of us condones any of the bullshit that's going on in the world right now, and we hope that everybody out there is staying safe, well, and looking after each other and educating each other where education is needed. So that event, boys, did get cancelled. When do we think it's going to be rescheduled? Because Sony have kind of thrown their hands up and gone, we've got no idea, like we don't know yet. Which I get because, the reasons for them cancelling it are around the current goings on and how long does that last for and when does it become kind of culturally appropriate to start trying to sell something again and kind of gear people up and get the hype train back rolling. I personally think that it's going to be quicker than we think. I think next week is a likely bet. They're going to want to get it slap bang in the middle of this kind of June window, what would have been E3, the kind of June summer of games things going on with IGN and other platforms with kind of hosting events. You've got Jeff Keighley doing his shit like we've talked about before. I don't see them wanting to miss the boat on that. I think they want to kind of get out in front of it and be like, big noise, this is what we're doing, so that it's kind of front and center. So that's kind of my take on it. Chun, where do you see it lining up?
Oh God, who knows? Next week something huge could happen. Next month something huge could happen. It has another societal impact. Oh, we'll just have to delay again. Oh no! I'm not trying to make a farce out of everything, but it's like, come on, you've had how long now, and you still can't really put anything out there. Cool. There's no physical conferences happening that you have to go to. If Sega can drop a freaking Game Gear Mini in the middle of an epidemic and a social outcry, I'm sure you could get away with it. Japan's just like, I give no shits. Here's your Game Gear Mini, enjoy. And I understand maybe USA is Sony's and PlayStation's biggest export or whatever from Japan, because PS4 hasn't really been selling gangbusters over there. It's doing awesome, but it's definitely not the highest selling country that has adopted the PlayStation. So maybe that's just a marketing angle where they're like, all right, USA is our biggest thing. Let's just be a bit more sensitive on this particular part. But look, I just say drop it. Stuff happens in the world and it's shit. The world is a dark place sometimes and people are fighting for all kinds of stuff that they shouldn't have to fight for. But as I mentioned to you guys, that stuff happens in the world all the time. In certain parts of the world, it's every day, and the world keeps rolling. As insensitive as that might sound, but you can't really do anything about it. These things have to play out. And like I just started with, when is it going to be? Who knows? You could have a plan for next week or next 2 weeks. The Eiffel Tower might collapse for whatever reason from a terrorist attack or something, who knows? Hopefully it doesn't happen. And then at that point, you're like, all right, let's delay again because that's insensitive because people died. Just trying to think of a purely marketing perspective here, not as dehumanizing the situation at all. I just think it's just funny, man. Social media, we're in a digital age now. Just drop it. There are people in the world that need joy to distract themselves from what's happening here. And again, that doesn't mean that you don't care. Things happen in the world. It's negative, it's bad, but you can still care and enjoy things to distract yourself with. I know all this stuff happens. I watch the news, I read all the articles, but during my lunch break, I turn it all off and I watch something on YouTube that's fluffy, and it doesn't mean that I'm an insensitive prick. So give us something to look forward to, God, because the world needs it. I think that's an angle that they could go with. It was like, all right, let's just bring some happiness back in the world, give you something to look forward to, and it doesn't need to shine a light off anything else. That's just my take. It could be the next few months. Who knows, man? I got nothing.
Dan?
Yeah, it's a really tricky time. Like it depends on, like, you can do like a really cynical way and say, if they had released it this week, from a marketing perspective, there's a chance it gets drowned out by everything that's happening, and therefore they don't have as much impact as they want. The other way is that because I didn't mind that Sony halted it. I was like, pretty much in this scenario, there is no wrong answer. Like, if you decided to hold it, then it's fine. If you want to pay respect and not hold it, that is also fine. I don't think it would affect their bottom line that much in the end. But in terms of when they're going to do it, I think they had this nice little plan week on week that was building up. Like, a few weeks ago, they have the Ghost of Tsushima State of Play. And then 2 weeks later, they do The Last of Us. This past week would have been the PS5 event. Next week is the Last of Us Part 2 reviews come out. The week after that, The Last of Us Part 2 comes out. And they would have had each week of this story, constant story, whether it's the reviews or that. So now the question is, with the embargoes lifting of Last of Us Part 2 on our Friday next week, so on the 12th, and then the game coming out on the 19th, do you do an event before the 12th, before all the Last of Us stuff? Or do you do it in the middle, or do you wait until the game has come out and then do something? So my guess right now is, so they know, because the game's going to come out no matter what, they don't know how long everything that's going to be happening in the States is going to be happening. My bet is the week of the 22nd to the 26th, so the week after the game comes out, they'll do another event. That's when they'll do it. I don't think they want to get in the way of The Last of Us.
Yeah, but I totally agree. Like, they probably don't want to, and I understand all of those reasons. But is The Last of Us also, is it that big that it can drown out an entire console reveal? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're on completely different. I mean, I love video games. I like quite a lot of what PlayStation have done, but The Last of Us is not top of my priority list. Whereas seeing what PlayStation are doing next gen is quite close to the top of the list. Do you see what I mean? So each consumer's going to look at it differently. I think, if, like you said, they probably have had a plan that, again, something else has jumped in the way of. But we'll, I don't think either way. Do you know what I mean? If you say sort of 22nd to the 26th, I think it could be next week. John, like, anytime in the next couple of months. I don't think any time's the right or wrong time to do it. Do you know what I mean? I think people are just getting impatient, and that's fine. They have a massive install base, got a huge user base, and that user base is crying out for information to basically set up giving you more money. So drop your load. Do you know what I mean? Just give us it. Let people get excited. Let people start thinking about pre-orders. Tell people how much this stuff's going to cost, so people in these harder times can start financially planning. If they want, oh right, so that's going to be my Christmas treat for myself, or kids might be, I want to get this for Christmas. Like, those parents need to have some kind of semblance of, all right, how much is this thing going to set me back? Like, and we're getting to the stage now, I know people, not even just family, I know friends and stuff that get their Christmas shopping and things like that out of the way in like August time, because they don't want to do the whole rush around in November, December. And, think about everybody in the greater picture. Chunt's view on the whole, we need some good news. I totally concur with that. Like, I just want to open YouTube or Twitter or the news or anything and see something that makes me smile. Do you know what I mean? So I think they've got an opportunity there, but like Dan's, like you said, no answer is right or wrong in the current climate, I don't think. But we'll see where they go with it, and hopefully it's not too long. So on to better news. John, you can take this one because this is your baby. Battle for the Grid, the Power Rangers 2D fighting game, has become the first game to hit a milestone in the industry, if I believe so. Have I got that correct?
Yeah, Pretty much. It's like the ugly duckling turning into the beautiful swan. This game, like when it came out, I was pretty hyped for this game before it released. Like, yeah, awesome. Like I've always wanted a 2D perspective like Power Rangers fighting game. I was like, man, that'd be such a good idea. Why don't they do that? And they did this Legacy Wars mobile game, which I kind of got into a bit, and it satiated that need, but it was never what I wanted. And then they released this Battle for the Grid game. I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like it's obviously been built from a small studio on a limited budget. Like it was evident even from the first trailer. I was like, oh, all right, let's see how this goes. And at launch, I played it, and I was pretty disappointed. It lacked a lot of features, and no story mode, no nothing. Some sound effects weren't even in there, and some actual visual flair wasn't there. But the last 2 years or so, man, it's turned into something that's just been a progressively, increasingly appealing service, so to speak, or platform. And adding more fighters over time, adding more actual consoles that they can appear on. I was on the Switch after it came to Xbox and PS4, and then Steam, and now it's coming on Stadia, which means it's like on everything, but also you can cross-play between every one of those platforms. So it's the first fighting game in history that you can play it cross-play on every available system right now, which is amazing. That's pretty cool. Like, I think that's a good feather in the cap for a relatively small studio. Enway, which I'd never heard of before that mobile game. But I was like, all right, cool. Let's see what these guys can do. And the big guys haven't done it. The bigger fighting game franchises haven't done it. And it's this little underdog of a game that's made its way into like Evo and fighting championships, and even like has the respect of some of the higher tier fighting game players who are like, damn, this game is good. On a mechanical and gameplay level, like it's got that respect as well. And people like equating it to like the new Marvel vs. Capcom 2 kind of thing, where it's that fun to play. And I can see that it's definitely turned into a respectable game. And the more they add to this game, I've got all the DLC packs for it, like all the characters. There's a season 3 coming out, which I'm keen to get into. I'm a Power Rangers nut, so I want to support this game. If this was just like a one and done release with that's it, you just get a range of characters and that's it, no improvements, I probably wouldn't think much of it. But because I've seen it grow and they add to it all the time every year, I feel kind of not responsible or obligated, but I want to support the game because like Power Rangers has been a thing with me for my whole life, and I've always wanted it to penetrate more entertainment aspects, like gaming in particular. It's always kind of been there, but it's always been dodgy. This is the first real solid good Power Rangers game that we've ever had. So yeah, like obviously I don't really care for myself that it's on everything because I'm only going to be playing it on my Xbox, but the fact that I can just get it on my Switch, like I can buy the game, log on with my Enway account, and all my stuff's there, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Or at least, I can play with one of you guys if you play it on, Steam or PS4 or Switch or whatever, and I can just chill out my Xbox and play it. And it just goes to show the big guys of like, bugger you guys, like we can do it. Why can't you? It's just another one of those smaller games, like what's that car game? That car basketball? What's that?
Rocket League.
Rocket League, but basketball, soccer, more like. Yeah, Rocket League. They're another one where they've shown that it's doable and possible from like a relatively smaller studio with a smaller budget compared to some of these big boys. And I think it's something worth noting to talk about, even though it's probably not a bigger piece on the on the massive AAA space, but I think it's definitely worth noting, and more games should do it. I hope this is more of a trend that we're going to see going into next gen, because it's just a no-brainer, man. Like, it's the platform space, loyalty and all that kind of stuff, whatever. Like, yeah, I'm going to be playing on Xbox regardless because I'm just invested in that ecosystem. And the way that if they're going to be that more expensive now, more and more people probably can't go around buying multiple consoles. So giving players the option of, all right, you can play with your mate from PS4, from your Switch, or from your Xbox to your PS4. This makes sense, and the game developers and publishers, they're going to make more money because more people can buy the same game, and they feel a part of the same space because they can play with their friends. This is a tried and true conversation that everybody's had about crossplay and how much sense it makes. But for a little game from Enway Studios, from a property of Power Rangers, which was almost dead until a couple of years ago, it was essentially a dead franchise. It's just an amazing story, and I thought it was worth noting. So I don't know what you guys have as far as thoughts go, but I think it's pretty amazing. End of.
Yay for Power Rangers. But fair enough for do you know what? I'd love to see an online fight between somebody playing on Stadia and somebody playing on like a dedicated, like hardwired 100 megabit connection. would rock out like in a fighting game. But no, it's amazing to see it happen in like, complete uniformity and crossplay is what, as you said, many people are asking for across the board. I know myself, I can't wait for it to come to Destiny. You know what I mean? Mainly just so we don't wind up in the scenarios that we wound up in for nearly the last year. A video game that we've played together for the last half a decade, if not longer.
Yep.
And we've not really been able to do that because rip my Xbox. But it's things like that, where you go, I want to do that. I want that back. Like, and if I could do it from playing on my Steam account while you're on your Xbox, and hey, Dan started it somewhere, still sat in the first mission. So like, over on the PlayStation, we could be having harmonious cross-play fun, but we're not yet. So it's good to see those things start to take a kind of a leap in that direction. Have you any thoughts on the whole wholesome cross-play, Dan?
Yeah, well, I don't have much to say about the game because I didn't even know it was a game until this weekend when it was announced. It's nice to see Stadia has another game on its little system there. No, it's really good. I think we are starting to see more of, in terms of what's coming, in terms of like next gen and how it's going to take shape. I think with every month, with every new talking point, whether it's the backwards compatibility, I know we spoke about it last week, but there was that, might have been early this week or late last week, where that Sony basically started telling everyone that if you're bringing your game to PS4 after July 13 for QA testing, you have to make sure it runs on the PS5, and we'll let you know how that needs to run. And then with this, just even the smallest game doing crossplay with everything, you're not going to be able to get away with not having crossplay anymore. And so I think there are just month by month, we're slowly just seeing how next gen's going to operate, and basically it's all good things. Like, it's all things that gamers want, and gamers want to be able to play and how they want to play. So yeah, good on Power Rangers.
Yes,
unification
go
of the video game industry.
Yep, it's quite apt too to say Power Rangers has always been an inclusive property where you've got multiple different,
even if a little racist at times.
Yeah, well, that funny story. To touch on that, the first season they had no idea about that. They weren't clued in until like 4 episodes into filming, where someone goes, "Hey, this is a bit on the nose with these two Rangers in particular," and they're like, "Oh God, all right." So yeah, and then they fixed that when those actors left anyway,
and then they just swapped them. Then they just swapped them because Trini and Adam were just like, they were just given the opposite mantles.
Yeah, so the Red Ranger and the Yellow Ranger and the Black Ranger left, and the Black Ranger was a black person and the Yellow Ranger was a yellow person. But when they left, the black person was the Yellow Ranger, and then the Asian was the Black Ranger. Yeah, so they were a bit mindful of it going forward, and ever since they've never stuffed that up. So anyway, can't remember what I was going to say there, but yeah, I think it's just funny that the game itself is showing the inclusivity in the industry, like the property always has. Like every season for the last 30 years, there's different people. Like every kid is different. Every ranger is different from a different background and race and that kind of stuff. It's good to see. And I just think it's just funny. This little game that is showing the big boys how it's done. And yeah,
and it even let Stadia into play. Like that's the amazing thing. Like even Stadia can play with everyone else. You know, even Stadia's Destiny players can't play with PC Destiny players. You know what I mean? Like that's wow. So if a company like Bungie are not confident of making that work, then like you said, yeah, fair play to these little guys for making it happen. And also, yeah, even the inclusivity thing. Billy in the remake, he had all the things going on, didn't he? So he ticked about 3 diversity boxes in one actor there. So yeah, they are normally mindful of it. So yes, well done to Power Rangers. So we coming up on hitting an hour, so we'll move into what was
holy shit
the key topic. I told you. We were sat there going, have we got enough to talk about this week? And I was like, we can just get conversational and chill about it and have a bit of an elongated conversation about random shite, and we've managed it. So
yes.
Main topic for this week was around virtual reality, namely Oculus Quest, because it's recently celebrated its 1-year anniversary. I didn't know this until the other day. And the 1-year anniversary of a standalone VR unit, I feel like it's something we could probably have a bit of an opinion on. I know we've all got different experiences with virtual reality, but kind of just to give it a bit of praise. So it's the highest selling VR console of all time. It is out of stock everywhere all the time. I think they said they've shipped something like around 5 or 6 million units by this point, or maybe that was game sales. But irrespective, you can't buy this thing for love nor money at the moment, right? Since it came out a year ago, you've not been able to find it anywhere. It sells out very quickly, and the pandemic has obviously only increased the scarcity of this item. And that's both the base one and the one with some more storage in it. So yeah, Oculus is very happy with it. That's the direction they're going with virtual reality from now on. So let's see kind of where they go to. But as a kind of a celebration of year one of life, I myself I bought one in November of last year. Found it incredibly uncomfortable, although it is mind-blowing to be completely untethered and playing things like super hot VR. And there was I think is it Gods and Monsters? It's like being in the Legend of Zelda, but completely immersed. These experiences were brilliant, but it was really, really uncomfortable. And I quickly returned it and was like, look, I'll get the Rift S because I've got a PC that can run it. It's got a Halo head design, which, you know, from my days playing with the PSVR, I was like, I know that feels and fits okay. I'm comfortable with that. Did that, found it way more comfortable, but had issues with my unit. So it started flickering and white and black screening. I was like, do you know what? I'm done with this. Returned everything and was like, that was a nice experience. It's not quite ready yet. Since then, we've seen things like Half-Life Alyx come out. You know, critical acclaim across the board. Beat Saber is pretty much like the new Guitar Hero. Do you know what I mean? Like anybody that's playing rhythm games is playing Beat Saber. So there's all of these things happening around it. And as I said, the untethered experience, the price of admission, like I'm not sure what it is for you guys in Australia, but here, you're I think $3.95, $3.89.99 to get a Quest. Do you know what I mean? The games are not that expensive, and Oculus also give a 14-day refund if you've played less than 2 hours of a game and go, do you know what, this isn't for me, or this is making me feel motion sick, or I can't handle this. You get a return, no questions asked. Refund into your account, you just lose your access to the game. So lots of cool shit going on with them and that platform. And VR in general, it seems to be maturing and starting to come into its own. So that's kind of my piece on it. Dan, I've no doubt you've been fact checking me against the PSVR over there, so you can take the mantle
I'm
next.
Looking.
Where do you sit on VR and kind of where it's got to at the moment?
I actually love VR. I have PlayStation VR. The biggest thing for me is having to get it out and set it up. I'm with a partner that hates seeing cables and shit everywhere. So as soon as I bring that thing out, she's just got anxiety because it's just all over the place. So I think the Quest, just not, even if it was the same quality as VR, the fact that it doesn't have cables in that is just the biggest selling point. I was just looking to see how much the VR was, but I couldn't find it in time. But you know, and that being said, I haven't tried anything better than PSVR. I know the other headsets are all technically better, but I can't afford to go out and paying that much. The biggest issue I have with VR is the fact that trying to find the money and then the time to play them. So, as I said, like I've played Tetris Effect on it. I've played Super Hot, Moss, Astrobot, like all really good games. And when I'm playing them, they're so much fun. But the main thing is one, the setup, which takes time. So even though the games are shorter, you spend more of your time setting it up and packing it up than you do actually playing the game. I think would I get a PSVR 2 when they announce it? I probably wouldn't get one at launch. And the problem is just it's only adding to the games I want to play. It's not taking away other games that I wanted to play. So it's not like there is a game coming out and I'm like, oh, I'd rather play that in VR. I'll just replace it. They're whole new experiences and they're worth it. It's just trying to find. It's the time and the money factor for me mainly, but and I know, yeah. So I know PSVR is not the best quality, but I have so much fun playing it.
John?
Yeah, my experience with VR is even more limiting than you guys. Like the last time I touched a VR unit was your PSVR, Jamie.
That's going back. That's going back some time.
Yeah, and the experiences I had with that at that point, I have not forgotten.
They were not of the video game variety.
No, and you know, and ever since I'm like, damn, that would be just like I was sold at that point. But I agree with Dan's point where, yeah, the price is a bit of a limiting factor for me as well. I only just got a PS4, so I have thought about, oh yeah, I could get a PSVR for this thing, but again, I hate cables. I hate it. I live in a totally like wireless experience here at home, and that's just how I prefer it. So to have a VR unit with cables everywhere, like I'm like that. I just can't be bothered. I'd rather not. And if it takes me longer to set the thing up than experience it, I'm out. I actually know a mate who chatted me earlier this week saying he just bought himself a VR Quest thing. He bought a unit. He was on a wait list for ages, and he finally came through, and he took the shot. He already bought a bunch of games for it, and he was just waiting for his confirmation. And he sent me the receipt. He goes, "Holy crap, it's finally happened! I'm getting one." And he's not a massive gamer. Like he hasn't really played much of anything since the PS2 era, you know. So this is something that he's been looking forward to, and I'm happy for him. And I'm actually quite jealous because I would love a Quest. The fact that you can watch cinema experiences like in a virtual room, that is highly appealing to me. Like I can do it now, but the fact that you can just open an app and it's like a theater, you know, home cinema or a massive cinema space, and just put on a good set of headphones and you're good to go. I'm all about that. So I'd love to do it one day, and return to some of the experiences I had at your place. Yeah. I think it has a place, man. I really think it does. I don't think it's ever going to be as big as people think it's going to be. I remember when PSVR was coming out and all these Oculus devices were coming out and people were like lauding it as the second coming of this is going to be a game changer. This is the future of games and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, nah, man, nah, not until it's wireless, not until moving around in these environments, you know, more natural feeling. I think we're going to get there because some of the controllers you can do these days where it tracks your fingers even. That's impressive as hell. So I do look forward to it. I'm not going to shut it out. And it is a world that I'd like to delve into. But yeah, man, I think the Quest that he got was the base model. It was like $640 something here in Australian. So it's not cheap.
No.
But yeah, cool. I'm done.
And looking at the PlayStation VR, I think they're about $250 at the moment. Is there much difference? I haven't kept up with it much. Is there much difference between the Go and the Quest?
In terms of, quite a significant difference. So the processor is vastly different. The experiences you can have on Quest compared to Go are, night and day. Quest is what, so imagine everything that you're playing in PSVR. I'm not sure there's anything there that the Quest couldn't handle. And it is completely wireless and untethered. And, most of the games that kind of come out for each other. Do you know what I'm saying? It's then when you take that next step up and go PC VR that it's like, right, now you're getting into the really serious experiences. But something that's maybe been, and I don't know how much of attention you guys have paid to this. One of the reasons that November last year was the time I decided to go, right, a Quest makes sense, is because Oculus released Link. So Link means that you can connect a USB-C cable to your Quest and play full PC VR. So you basically have a multi-purpose headset. You can plug in, tether in, and play like super high-end stuff on what is actually
because there are some games that aren't available on the Quest. And they are available on the main Rift store, so you could play. So there's a particular game that I really wanted to play, and it's I can't remember for the life of me what it's called now. It's based around like Norse mythology, and it's like this is the first AAA game to come out for VR. So I really want to play that, but I just couldn't get to grips with the comfort of the Quest, so that's why I swapped it out. But they've done so much to kind of open it up. So not only can you plug it into your PC and have full room scale VR, but they also allow you to track your hands now. Like the next update after Link was completely hands free. I don't have to use controllers. Like my hands can even, menus and navigation, don't need to have controllers, can just swipe around, pull, pinch things, all that kind of stuff. And it's like they really do see this as the future of VR. And news. I bought a Quest yesterday. That's why we want to speak about it.
So that's nice. But, I found some comfort mods for the head strap to make it easier to wear, and did my research on stuff like that. And I was like, do you know what? I loved everything about it except the fact it was uncomfortable. And I really, really do want to play Half-Life Alyx, which apparently does run fairly well on it. So yeah, it's done enough to win me back in. I don't think I've ever had a problem with the tech and the whole hands-free experience, and I'm just keen to go back into it and see what it's doing. I agree with you. It's not there yet, but it's the future of video games, and having experienced a multitude of different VR, I can only see it getting better. I think in that timeline you're talking about, like the locomotion aspect and making it more comfortable to play and move around in, we're halfway there, because the head tracking side of it's 1-to-1. Do you know what I mean? If I turn left, there's no lag. Like I'm moving left and right, and it's only going to get better from there. I've seen some creative solutions. That these VR. You've been to a VR arcade, right, Chunt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of them now have like the treadmill thing. So like you're kind of in a little enclosure in a little cage that has a treadmill, so you can actually run around and move and actually get full. What do they call it? Six axis degrees of motion, or whatever they call it. It's once we get to that kind of scale at home. I mean, how big would your room have to be? Be running up and down your living room, like, do you know what I mean? You'd need to be on something that is a treadmill-esque type of thing to stop you from, bashing your head into windows and things like that. But yeah.
You think my partner hates cords being around the place? Imagine wheeling out a freaking treadmill every time I want to play.
But then, do you know what? That's what I mean. So somebody like you, Dan, obviously you're very invested in PlayStation as a brand, but Oculus would be way more viable for you in terms of next gen VR. Because when they release their next VR headset, it will be untethered. It will probably also have the option to tether to a high-end PC that you can play PC VR on, which yours is more than capable of doing. It's more than VR ready. So you get the best of both worlds, and your partner doesn't have to trip over any wires. And you know, I fucking hate wires as well. That was one of my biggest issues with the PSVR. It was a pain in the arse. And once I'd experienced everything I had to experience there, pun definitely intended, that what else was it doing? Astrobot was probably the best experience I had on PlayStation VR, and that's not great. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I can't speak to how it's improved. I'd returned mine 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, it'd have been 3 years ago. So I don't know how it's evolved.
Astrobot come out 3 years ago?
Did it?
Astrobot Rescue Mission?
No, I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking of something else. Irrespective, whatever the experience I had was not enough to make me keep and make me want to keep that device. It's a shame the Iron Man thing isn't coming to Oculus. Is that locked down PlayStation exclusive, or is it timed?
I don't know.
No, it's locked down. PlayStation paying for that one.
Spider-Man was the same, right? The Homecoming thing was. Is that experience locked down?
No. I don't know about that one, because that's a Sony Pictures thing. That's not a Sony PlayStation thing. So I'm not sure about that one.
I'll have to look into that then. Because my new device should arrive early next week, and I said like Half-Life Alyx is I just want to experience it. You know, it's been critically lauded by everybody that's touched it, and they've gone like, look, no, this is a reason to play VR. This is what VR should be. So I'm keen to see kind of what a full-scale experience looks like using that.
Oh, and that's what I forgot to mention last week. Totally forgot. Where I haven't played it yet, but because I downloaded the Iron Man demo because I want to have a go at it and see what it's like.
Cool.
But once again, managed to pulling the friggin' thing out.
So you haven't tried it yet? You've just downloaded it?
Just downloaded it. It's ready. I just got to pull out the headset. I might do that before next week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it is. 'Cause I know people have. Did Digital Foundry do something on it? I seem to remember seeing a high-profile place poster review of the Iron Man thing, and going like, "Yeah, they're like this is brilliant. Like, you're basically Iron Man. Like, why the fuck not?" Yeah. I mean, even going back to the EB Expo in what would that have been 2016, 2015 even?
Yeah.
When Dan, you got to play Arkham VR, and I can still remember your face coming towards us, going, "That was fucking insane." Like, you did do Arkham, didn't you? The Arkham VR experience.
I played it at home, but I can't remember if I did it at the expo.
I'm sure you queued to play it at the expo.
No, I did the Resident Evil. You
did Kitchen.
No,
the Kitchen demo. Anyway, I know you and Lauren were the only two to actually try VR, and both of you were like, wow. One of you definitely did the Arkham one. I thought it was you that did it for some reason, but no, Kitchen was fucking terrifying. That was one of the first things I played when I got a PSVR, and I couldn't make it through it. I was like, nah, no, I'm out, I'm done.
When I had it, I just threw anyone that came over. I just threw them in that demo, and they just got the shit scared out of it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I literally shut that thing down super fast. And again, the whole being able to play stuff like that via Link, not the Resident Evil game, but all of these kind of up and coming things that are coming out. I think The Walking Dead just got a game. I think so. On VR, on Rift and Valve and everything like that. On Steam VR and on Oculus Store. So all of these things come in. It's like, yeah, it'll be nice to just lose myself in these experiences because we can't go outside. So well, we can now. I mean, things are relaxing a bit, but I'm not going to go be shooting any zombies in the head anytime soon. I hope. I mean, who knows? Who knows in 2020?
True.
We could be doing anything.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll stop rambling about random VR shit now, and acknowledge the fact that the episode has come to an end. So that has been episode 13 that's confirmation. It was episode 13 of the Let's Talk Games podcast. We'll be back next week. Thank you for joining us. Been a bit more relaxed, as you can tell, this week. Really nothing to talk about other than just chat with friends. And thank you for watching. If you have watched, please leave us likes, subscribes, all those kind of things that YouTube people are supposed to tell you to do. And thank you for joining me, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.